My name's Eli Delaney, and I have the honor of meeting some pretty cool people. These are the entrepreneurs, the artists, the creatives, the game changers that are making a positive impact in the people that they meet. And I'm a firm believer that the people that you meet can get you anywhere you want to go. And this show is my way of sharing them with you. It's my way of also helping you meet cool people. All right, welcome back, guys. Eli here, and we are here for another show with this gal that I had the opportunity to meet a couple times recently over the last couple months. Originally, first, it was through Craig Duswalt's Rockstar Marketing event here in the Dallas area, and then we actually got to spend a little bit of time together down in Houston for Paul Fink's event, and just hit it off, had a great time. So today is my pleasure to bring in Casey Hasten. She is the Director of Recruiting and Coaching with VIP. She is the podcast host of the We Are VIP podcast. She is the CEO of Success North Dallas, which several of my friends have spoken for. It's an awesome, awesome group. She is an author. She is a coach. She is also often referred to as the networking ninja. And her mission is to help raise the consciousness of the world by helping those she touches learn to be at choice. All right, Casey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me and for being so patient with me.
Not a problem. All right, so just so everybody hears her, we had some weird technical stuff, which always happens because as the tech guy, I always have to remind people it happens to all of us. Like even me, things blow up, software goes wonky, internet goes down. It happens. That is just a fact. And so for those people that are watching this or listening and they're saying, yeah, but I'm not a techie person, so I don't understand when this stuff blows up and it never happens to you. No, yes, it does. It happens to all of us. So we've had a really funky, interesting start to this show, but I think we're good now. We're all good. So Casey, I gave a wonderful introduction of who you are and how amazing you are, but let's take it from there. What else should people know about you?
Oh my goodness. So, and you did give a lot. I do a lot, and I love that. I am so fortunate to have so many opportunities come up that allow me just to really expand my wings. But how about a fun fact?
I'm totally cool with fun facts.
Okay. So I used to race dirt bikes.
Okay. There's a fun one.
And I was second in the state of Texas. So that's pretty good.
Very cool. That is awesome.
So I guess it's no surprise. Are you familiar with Strengths Finders?
Yep.
Okay. I bet this is absolutely no surprise to you then. My number one strength is competition.
That is hilarious. So with everything you're doing, because you got a ton of different projects going on at any given time. It's funny because when you and I first met, it was at Craig Duswalt's event. Mm-hmm. And we just had a brief conversation. Like we barely even talked to each other at that time. We just coincidence didn't have a chance to talk too much.
Yeah.
But I had found out that you were part of Success North Dallas, and I had known of Success North Dallas when I came to Dallas to speak. It was November of 2022. And Bill had actually come to the event that I was speaking at, which was Tim Gillette's event.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure you know Tim.
I know Tim.
Yeah.
Not Tom Petty.
Not Tom Petty. Yeah. It's not the same after he cut his hair, because I've known Tim for a long time. I've known him I've known him actually technically longer than I've known Craig. And I've known Craig for, I'm going to say close to 15 years.
Wow.
It's been a long time. I met him in Phoenix. He was at an event and we ended up going to his event. And it was actually ended up going to his event because he always tells a story about the big events that he used to do that are like 400 and 500 people in there and everything. I was there for those kind of things. And one of the biggest ones was, I believe it was 2013. I'm pretty sure it was 2013. No, it had to have been before that, when the shuttle landing happened. And when the shuttle landed, his event was going on, and it was hilarious because he just, we're doing the whole event and there's people speaking and he's teaching and all this stuff. And he just finally gets up on stage and says, guys, the shuttle is landing. I know none of you want to be in this room. Go watch the shuttle land. And like 400 people like stream out of the room to go watch the shuttle land in LA, which was a lot of fun. I think that was 2013. No, it's got to be before that. I don't even
I think it
remember.
was before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool. Like you, and I like to do this on my podcast as well, is, one of the first questions I ask my guests is, how did we get connected? And I
Hmm.
think you just laid out that spider web of connections that got us here today. And I
Yeah.
think it's really important to pay attention to those, because that's how you get to meet cool people.
Yeah. Well, and for me, that's like normal because I love to see how that happened. Is like I always tell people, I always joke from stage. I'm like, I love to collect people, just not in
Yes.
a Dexter kind of way. And so you get it. You start
I get
giggling.
it.
You get it. Sometimes you get some people that get it, they start laughing. Then you get people that get that very blank look. And I'm like, just go to Netflix, look up Dexter, just watch the trailer, you'll understand. But it really is, it's so amazing how the connections that we make, how they come to be. Like when I moved here, one of the first things I did was reach out to Craig and say, hey, by the way, I'm here now. And he invited me to come to one of his events, which was awesome. And it was great to see him again because I hadn't seen him forever. And it's for me, I can track all of that stuff.
Hmm.
And it is because it's so fascinating to see how we connect with each other. And now, like, I had the opportunity to introduce you to a couple of clients of mine, which was a lot of fun. And I've heard from both them and from you how great the conversations went. This is what you do. You are very much like me in that aspect of you are a connector and you love to have those kind of fun conversations.
I stepped into Success North Dallas, and I started about 6 years ago. And I sure you can tell by now that I'm not one of those people that does anything halfway. It's got to be full on 150%, or I'm not doing it.
Yep.
There's no fun in that, right? And so when I finally found my networking home, Success North Dallas, I was like all in. Bill Wallace, the founder, he founded it in 1988.
Mm-hmm.
So almost 36 years ago. He often describes me lovingly as a pest when I first started Success North Dallas, because I was like, every time he would say, I need this, I'm like, I'm there. I'm there. What can I do? What can I do? How can I help? What can I take off your plate? What can I do? And I just did that year after year after year. But the reason I brought that up is because our motto is connecting the right people for the right reasons at the right time.
Mm-hmm. I
That's
love
what
it.
we live and die by at Success North Dallas. And that's what we do. I've been, most recently, we just had a partner member come on, and I have been like, all right, now here's how this works. If you're going to get the most out of this partnership, when I say show up, you've got to show up. And let me tell you something. I have wore his butt out.
I'm sure. But you've got so many different things going on. Success North Dallas being one of them. And that's where, like, obviously that's how you and I got really connected initially, was because of that connection there. But you're now, explain what is VIP, because that's a
Okay.
really big brand and so many different levels
Yeah.
of what you're doing. Like, We Are VIP, the podcast and the company itself. Explain that for people. What is that?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you asked about that, because VIP is the catalyst for all of this, really.
Mm-hmm.
So VIP is a recruiting agency, a boutique recruiting firm. We specialize in finding talent for companies from mom and pops to Fortune 500s, in accounting and finance. And so VIP has been around for about 18 years. I've been with VIP for 6 of those years. And what I love about VIP, so it's all really integrated. I know it seems like, okay, you got VIP, you got Success North Dallas, but it's all very entangled, because VIP started off being a partner member with Success North Dallas
Mm-hmm.
because of my introduction. They also sponsor our Success North Dallas Young Executives Initiative, and have for about 2 years. And when Bill Wallace approached me about taking over Success North Dallas, these were conversations we had internally at VIP. And, VIP allows me to just morph and be who I want to be at that moment. And, even with the podcast, originally that was going to be my personal brand podcast. And, I was working for them. I'd been there about a year, and I was like, so I'm going to do this. And, I know that I'm a reflection on you. So just wanted to let you know, I'm not going to do anything to embarrass you. I'm just going to bring on really cool people to talk to and have conversations with. And they were like, you know what? That's a really good idea. And I went, oh, thank you. And they're like, why don't you do it for us and we'll pay for it? And I went, oh, you got it.
Okay. Twist my arm.
And so I've had a whole production team support, and we record professionally at Real News PR and have since day one. Here's another fun fact, and this speaks volumes about Real News PR. I have had the same producer since episode 1.
Wow.
And I've been recording for 5 years.
That is impressive.
Yeah. So that's how VIP and Success North Dallas work so well together.
Very cool. So how did you originally get connected into this world that you've been doing so much in? Like you said that you were originally, like, Bill called you a pest. So say, how did you get connected even in that? Like, what was it that got you started?
Yeah. So that was, so back when I first started with VIP, I was actually building out a team, and this was before the podcast, before anything else. That's what I was actually brought over to VIP to do, was to expand the team. And one of my favorite things to do as team building are lunch and learns. And so I always want to bring cool people that are, relative to a sales team, to teach you some skills to really set you apart from the herd, separate you from all those other recruiters out there, make us a little bit different. And I met a lady, I was in Rotary at the time, that worked for Jeff Crilly, who owns Real News PR. Mm-hmm. And she was in charge of the Speakers Bureau. This is before Success North Dallas. This is way back when. And her name is Suzanne McCafferty, and she's moved out of state since then. But so she was in charge of the Speakers Bureau for Real News PR, which they don't even have anymore. And so she would send her speakers to me to do lunch and learns for free to give them practice. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got connected with Real News. And so she calls me one day and she goes, Casey, you've got to go to this happy hour tonight with me. And I'm like, where is it? And she told me where it was. And I was like, oh my God, that is so outside my comfort zone. So I'm not like my comfort zone, but like my commute comfort zone.
Right.
I'm a commute diva. I don't like to go anywhere close to downtown. That's a mess. I get turned around. So, but she's like, no. There's somebody you've got to meet there tonight. I was like, fine, I'll do it. And so I went, and that moment changed my life. That changed my trajectory. Because that's the night I met Bill Wallace.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That is cool.
And he invited me in his usual gentlemanly style. He's very formal when he presents a card, and he will not present a business card unless you give him permission to. Mm-hmm. He always asks permission, presents the Japanese style.
Yep.
And he tells you a story and flips it over as he's giving you the card. It's I still remember it to this day.
I do too. And I have that same experience with him. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
See? And you won't forget it, right? And so he invited me that night to attend the next Success North Dallas meeting. And I'd been going to several networking meetings, trying to find a home, a place where I could dig in. And I just hadn't found the one where I wanted to commit my money or my time yet. And so he invited me, and I signed up in the middle of the meeting. Mm-hmm. And I've been committed ever since.
That is awesome. And you said something very important. I think it's been lost a lot lately in today's society, but something that you said in just that little story was you went way out of your comfort zone and to show up anyway. And then you realized it was one of the best things you could have done.
Oh,
it's like so many people just cop out no matter what it is. It's like, well, if it's too much work, I don't want to do it, or if it's too late, or if it's too early, or whatever. And I will throw myself under the bus for the fact you and I've had the conversation, because you've invited me to come to one of a Success North Dallas thing, and I'm like, yeah, but that means I have to get up at like 3 a.m. to get there because I'm clear on the other end of town. But so many people are not willing to do the extra step. And I think that has so much to do with the success that you've seen.
Yeah. And so let me tell you, I don't want to be there at 7 a.m., but and it is 7 a.m. third Wednesday every month, but the people in that room want to be there.
Yep.
That is a commitment. And so, and I don't feel sorry for any of y'all because I have to be there at 6.
I love it. That is awesome. So tell us a little bit more about what are you doing with the podcast? What's the theme of the podcast? What kind of guests are you getting to share your stories with? What's going on there?
So the theme of the podcast is careers because we're, headhunters. That's what we do. We
Hmm.
help people find careers, but we really, again, want to take it to a different level because we are very relational at VIP,
Hmm.
where a lot of the firms, and I've been at them, they're transactional. And what I mean by that is they're like, you got to get your dials in, your 300 dials in, you got to have this many client meetings, this many candidate screenings, all that kind of stuff. And here we're more like, what did you learn from them? What did you learn from this person that you're trying to help change their life? Speaking about a candidate, because when you help somebody find a new job, that's life changing.
Hmm.
And I want it to be the right job. I don't ever want anyone out there to say, Casey placed me in this role and I hate my life.
Yeah, that would be a bad thing.
Yeah, I would not be okay with that. I wouldn't sleep at night.
Right.
That's not my goal. And so the goal of the podcast is just to give, tips on your career. Sometimes we'll speak to the companies about how to build a better culture.
Okay.
Um, but a lot of it, like we've talked about burnout, we've talked about, meal prepping as a way to keep yourself healthy. We've talked about reading, continuous learning. I mean, I've got 252 episodes under my belt. We've talked about a lot.
Right.
We've
That
talked
is
about
awesome.
strengths finders we mentioned earlier.
Hmm.
And I've actually got another strengths finder coach coming on, which I want to introduce you to her because she's a pretty cool person.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's all designed to help you go further in your career, but not just your career, your entire life.
Right. That is awesome. I love it. It's cool because what you're doing is based around what is near and dear to me, which is the relationship. It's about,
Mhm.
what's going on that to create your success as a whole, not just in one specific area. And
Yeah.
like for me, it is all about the relationship. We talked about this earlier. It's like how we got connected. We haven't even talked about like Brian Galkey, who was a guest on this show. Awesome dude. I know you know him. He's
Love
been a
Brian.
speaker. Yeah, I know he's been a speaker at Success North Dallas. It's like, and he and I met through another group, Apex, and that's where we happened. It's hilarious. We had an event at Texas Live the first time I just moved to the area, and I sit down at this table in the back, and he's sitting there, and I was like, hey, can I sit here? He's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, so what do you do? It's like, I help speakers and coaches with their follow-up processes and building the machine behind the scenes. He's like, awesome. I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I'm a speaker. I was like, all right, we're gonna be good friends, and we were, and it worked out really well. And he's a super smart dude.
I don't know how he remembers all that he remembers about facial decoding. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
But we've mentioned so many names on here today. If your listeners, these are great people to follow. And
yeah.
a lot of them, if you reach out to them, they're more than happy to chat with you.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the coolest things about this is why I do this show is to bring cool people that I meet to meet other cool people. It's like that kind of introduction is like, where do all the pieces fit together? Because I've always been a big believer that the people that you meet are going to get you anywhere you want to go.
Hmm.
You just got to have the right conversations. And so that's why we do this. So you got some other stuff going on. You're also an author. What kind of coaching are you doing outside of VIP? Because I know you got another project you're working on that you and I talked about. That's when we were down in Houston. Tell us a little bit about that.
I have so much going on right now. I
I
have to
know.
literally compartmentalize, right? Like the third week of the month is Success North Dallas. Only don't try to talk to me about anything else. I am laser focused on getting that event past the goalpost. But yes, I am an author. I'm very, very, very proud of and it's a journal. It's not a traditional book. It's a quarterly journal,
Mhm.
and it's called Awaken Your Potential. And it was really, I'm okay. Like, it's a good thing I don't do drugs because I do everything 150%, right? I would probably overdose the first week. But so I'm a journal junkie and I journal about every area of my life. And I wanted a journal that had everything in it in one place. So I wasn't carrying around 5 or 6 journals. And
Mhm.
when I went out to the market, couldn't find it, didn't exist. And so I created it. And I say that with a little shrug. That was 3 years of intense research, development. Not even that. That was probably my entire life of
Right.
research and development that went into this journal, because I'm also a bookworm. I love to read, and I just love to expand my mind, period. You typically, if you ask me, what are you doing right now? Well, I'm in school again because I wanted to learn something new. I needed a new
Mhm.
certification. Um, so I'm actually in school for neuro-linguistic programming certification.
Okay.
I am so pumped about this, and I'm learning so much, which, surprise, surprise, did you know Brian Galkey is also certified in NLP?
Yep. I did know that.
So
Hmm.
he has been a tremendous help on this journey, because, we went to two different schools, but as I'm learning stuff, he throws in like extra stuff that even
Hmm.
a school can only cover so much, right?
Right.
And so he is really expanding that knowledge base just by, letting me bounce off what I'm learning. So,
That
so
is
yeah,
cool.
so the journal is called Awaken Your Potential, and it's everything that I have learned throughout the years. But the movement based on the journal, and that's, I think, what you were referring to, is called Destination Awaken.
Yes.
And that's where my heart, my passion is, going to build out courses to help you, because a lot of people don't realize that when I say you can create your own reality with every choice you make, I mean it. And people think you're crazy. And I'm like, no, you get to choose your perception of reality. And that's all it is a perception,
Right.
right?
Yep.
That's all it is. If you want to be a victim, great. And your mind's going to confirm that everywhere you look. But you chose that. You chose to accept that mindset. You can change it. And everybody's like, you don't understand. You haven't been a victim. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have. I choose not to accept that mantle, that lens on my life. I get to choose. And so that's what our movement is about. And I was so excited when I went to go secure the domain name, because I didn't even know you could do this, or that this was one of the domain names, but our URL is destinationawaken.world.
Yep.
Boom. That's it. Tells you everything you need to know.
That is awesome. I love it. And you and I've talked a little bit about that, which is pretty cool stuff. I love the fact that you did the journal and now you're taking it to that next step with everything else, which is great. So
Absolutely.
let's see. How do I want to phrase my next question here?
Uh-oh. Carefully.
Carefully. So with everything, here's where my question goes. You've got so many different things going on.
Hmm.
How do you keep them all straight?
Well, that's the power of my journal.
Okay.
It really is. I am very big, and like I said, and I read all the time, but I have certain times of my day that are protected.
Hmm.
And when I say protected, they're blocked off. Nobody's
Right.
allowed to touch them, especially in the morning. So, have you read the book, The Miracle Morning?
Yeah. Years ago.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, shameless plug, Hal Elrod's been on my podcast,
Nice.
who's the author of The Miracle Morning.
Hmm.
And I read that book probably about 6 years ago, and it changed my life, because it is a book about setting your day up for success in the morning.
Hmm.
And when you stick to that routine, you order your day in such a way that you can get so much more accomplished. And I feel like, and the other way that I really am able to do as much as I do, because people are like, do you ever sleep? And I'm like, oh, yeah, full 8 hours. Got to have my 8 hours. I have learned to master the no. And that's
Yeah.
important. You got to say no to those things that are priorities for other people, but not for you.
Yeah, I agree 100% on that. I have, in probably the last 2 years, that has been something that I did have a difficulty of figuring that out before. And now it's like, okay, yeah, no, that's not going to serve me.
Yep.
And it's amazing when you actually realize it's okay to say no. It's
Hmm.
you don't have to commit to anything or everything or anything in between. But when you actually stop and realize, basically our time is the most valuable asset we have,
And we don't get it back.
and we don't get it back. It's like the one non-renewable resource in the world is our time.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I am a big believer in honoring your commitment. That's actually one of the rules for membership at Success North Dallas, is honor your commitments. Let
Hmm.
your yes be yes and your no be no. And I have to tell you a funny story real quick. So, you've met my business partner, Karen.
Hmm. Yeah.
And Karen, I mean, she says yes to a lot. And she wants me to say yes to a lot with her. I'm like, divide and conquer, number one. And so I've just gotten to where anytime she asks me to do anything, it's just no. And then I'll think about it. And if I change my mind, it's fine, but it's always no.
Right.
And so we were at Success North Dallas, and she's my chief of staff there too. We were at Success North Dallas, and we have like Success North Dallas in the mornings, and then we have a C-suite mixer with the C-suite network in the evenings. They fly in specifically on that third Wednesday so they can participate in Success North Dallas and then hold their mixer. And so, anyway, we were packing up or something after Success North Dallas, and somebody said, "Hey, are you going to the event tonight?" And I didn't even look up. I went, "Nope." And I was like, "Oh, wait, are you talking about the mixer?" And Karen was standing there and she's like, "She always says no. She always says no." And I was like, yes, I am going to the mixer tonight, but my gut instinct is no.
Right. Yeah. I think it's a really powerful lesson. And I think more and more it's important to kind of see what are those things. And we only have so many hours in the day, and there's so many opportunities. That's one thing that really blows me away that people don't comprehend. There are 10 times as many opportunities as we could even think about possibly doing. And we can't even do all the things we can think about doing, right? It's just not even possible. So learning to differentiate, and that's something too that I think I'd love to have you talk about for a little bit. How do you differentiate which things you're going to say yes or no to? Do you have like a test that you run things through that works for you?
That's a really good question. So if I have been to an event in the past, I want to be really careful how I say this, and it didn't serve me.
Yes.
I'm easy. I'm okay saying no to future events.
Okay.
With that saying, so I will try to, number one, I look at who's hosting the event and do I want to support this person, whether it helps me or not, then that's a yes. You know, if I want to support somebody, if I don't know somebody, because, people will drag you. They try to drag your time, right? And they want you to be at their event just because, by the nature of who you are, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but when they say, "Oh, the CEO of Success North Dallas is coming," people are like, "Oh yeah, okay, we want to be there," because I am very fortunate that I run an amazing organization. But my biggest thing is, how is this going to serve me? And it's okay to be selfish. It's your time.
Right.
How is this going to serve me, or am I going to be able to serve others? And if I can't say yes to one of those, it's a no.
Right. No, I like that. And you said something really important with that too, is that, and it comes with that second piece there is like, is that going to serve me, or how can I serve others? Sometimes saying yes is okay because of the fact that your time is valuable, but you truly want to support the person.
Yes.
Like, say it's the host of the event and you really want us to be there to support that person. I cannot count the number of times I've done that.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that all the time. I show up. I've shown up. I mean, there used to be the joke years and years ago. People used to joke about the fact that Eli would show up to the opening of a letter. Okay? I would show up anywhere. And most of the time it was because I wanted to show support. I wanted to be there. Your friend has a book signing, you show up. Your friend's putting on an event, you show up, especially if it's their first one. Things like that. You do things to help those people out. I show up my clients' events half the time purely because I want to help support them. That could be the win. That could be the reason to say yes. It doesn't mean I'm going to get clients out of it, or I'm not going to get paid out of it, or any of that kind of stuff. Me, with the satisfaction I was able to add value to somebody else and be there to support them, that could be the answer. And so I like the way you said that.
And there's the ripple effect too. Like, you don't know who I might introduce you to 2-3 generations into this networking that may become a client, and maybe your best client ever. So and I don't mean to sound selfish when I say that, but I do have to guard my time and protect my time, I think is a better way to say it. Just because there are those people that will just pull at you, and they've not invested in that relationship to have the right to pull at you, Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And I've been there too. There have been times where I've gone to events, or, I've put forth time and effort for somebody, and it's like, all right, did it once, not going to do it again kind of situation. But you got to pick each one. You know, you got to figure that out. But I wanted to bring up that fact that not everything has to be so critically entwined of what am I going to get out of this event? What you get out of the event, you know, it's okay to be selfish, like you said, but that satisfaction could be the satisfaction of supporting somebody.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer. Like, for example, we have a golf classic coming up for one of our nonprofits that, you know, we're all volunteering at, not getting anything out of that. We're supporting our nonprofit member. But in another instance, I had someone approach me, and it's a group that I absolutely love. It's a nonprofit group. They wanted me to sit on their board. Not only sit on their board, they wanted me to chair the board. And I was like, no, I can't do that. Not right now. I love you guys, but no. Because it was like a once a month commitment, and that's a lot for me.
Right. No, definitely. That is, I appreciate you kind of having that conversation, because I think that's one of the things in today's world. There is so many opportunities. There's no shortage of events to go to, things to invest in, people to learn from, all these different things. And I think time is the one thing that we really have to take a hold of. And I think you did a great job of explaining how you do it, because you got your fingers in a lot of pies and you got a lot going on, but you keep it together. You're always rocking it. And that, to me, that's admirable to be able to see somebody do that, but not just do it, but do it well, because most people don't.
Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing some of the tips on that. So what else, with everything you've got going on now, we've got people all over listening to this. If there's one thing you could say that is this is something that's going to make a big difference in your world. We've talked a lot about relationships. We've talked about time management. What would be one thing, like one tip that you would give people to just get ahead?
Learn to live at choice.
Okay. I love it.
You get to choose. There's another book out there called Power versus Force, and it's all about the levels of energy and how you show up. I highly recommend everybody read it.
Awesome. I love that. We'll have to put that one in the show notes. Definitely. Very cool. Okay. As we're wrapping up here, 2 final questions. This is the Meet Cool People show. Now, so I've already given you a warning on this one. This isn't the spot where you're going to say wonderful things about me. We'll give you a chance to say that later. It's all good. But what does Meet Cool People mean to you?
You know, Meet Cool People means to me getting to meet those with a very strong message, with a story of encouragement, and they're willing to share that. I just talked to a lady this morning, right before this podcast, that she is teaching people how to hold on, let me make sure I say this right. Live life and so she's really trying to bring back, you know, owning how to be a mom with 4 kids, how to own 2 businesses, how to have a family that she's running and still be able to add the and. So I think meeting cool people is when I can find those people that can share those little tidbits and pour back into me so that I can get even better.
I love it. That is awesome. Very cool. Okay. So last question. People are going to want to follow you. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Best way to get in touch with me is hello at CaseyHasten.com.
All right. Got it. Go ahead and repeat it one more time.
Hello at CaseyHasten.com.
Cool. Well, Casey, thank you so much for coming and hanging out today. This has been a pleasure. I knew it was going to be good because you and I've had a couple of really deep, cool, fun conversations lately. And just, you've got an awesome energy about you, which is, that to me, that's important. That's something that's really good with me. I bring people on this show that I vibe with, that I know not just are doing things, not just big names, not just, you know, somebody who's got the latest, greatest tactic or any of that kind of stuff, but people that are just good people, good connectors, and somebody that I think people really should truly get to know, pay attention to, because you're doing things at a much deeper level. And that's what's really important in today's world. So thank you for coming and hanging out with us today.
Thanks for having me. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
Awesome. All right, everybody, get out there. Have an amazing week. As always, you know how to get a hold of me, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care. And that wraps up another Meet Cool People show. Now, if you like what you heard, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, or review so I can help introduce these amazing cool people to even more amazing cool people. And just remember, meeting cool people is just the beginning. You need to have a system in place to follow up with the amazing people that you meet. This is exactly what we do for our clients. If you'd like to see if my team and I can help you, go to followuprockstar.com and check out the case study video to see exactly how we're helping our clients turn casual connections into cash clients for life. Again, go to followuprockstar.com and we'll see how we can work together to turn you into a follow-up rockstar.